Are you seeing this right now? Look at that loaf. That is a 10 out of 10 loaf. Look at you. Oh, look at him. What a good loaf. One of the most broken yet controversial held items in the game is that of the EXP share. Every couple months or so, the Unite community devolves into a debate about how and when the EXP share should be used and what a Pokemon wearing the EXP share should do. Today we're going to break down this discourse surrounding this item and how it's simultaneously become the face of both the worst and the best players in the player base. Hi, by the way, my name is Husky, and I don't... Maybe I shouldn't be the one talking about this. Well, I believe everything should wear an EXP share. Even if it's not a support or defender. Everything could use an EXP share. Though I assume much of my viewers are seasoned players, and those who probably need this explanation are not the ones actually watching this video, but I feel the need to provide the background anyway. So let's take a look at the in-game description of EXP share. I have it up right here. While the Pokemon has the fewest EXP points on its team, it gains 5 more experience points per second. In addition, when a nearby teammate defeats a wild Pokemon, that teammate gains slightly more EXP points. It also gives you flat 240 HP and 150 movement speed. Now let's look at the Unite DB explanation of EXP share. So at level 30, this item grants 5 experience points per second, while the wearer has the fewest EXP points on their team. Additionally, when the wearer or the nearby teammates defeat a wild Pokemon, nearby teammates gain slightly more EXP points from that wild Pokemon knockout. So already from these two descriptions, there are still a lot of questions that remain unanswered. So let's take a look at a more detailed description of this item provided long ago in December of 2023 by Steve My Cat, who could honestly say anything, and I would probably believe him. But he also has an engineering background like I do, so he loves all this nerdy math stuff. But let's look at his description, and here is where we get to the part that even the seasoned players could probably use an explanation on. So Steve says, this item has stirred some discourse in the community. Let's break it down. This discussion is multifaceted, so please read this thread before knee-jerk replying. I promise it'll explain itself. So already, the discourse was kind of heated about EXP share for some reason, but let's get into it. So why is it so strong? EXP share gives a tremendous early and compounding advantage to the side using it. If you're farming with your laner and going close to even, you'll net a ton of extra EXP. And he provides a table. So the table he includes is basically showing how much experience you lose out on if you don't have EXP share. If you stand near your lane partner, by 15 seconds into the game, you are gaining 135 more EXP than if you didn't have EXP share. And by 3 minutes into the game, you'll be missing out on 1,160 EXP. These numbers are basically a more specific version of the first line of the following chart, brought to you by the math cord. So when two Pokemon love each other very much, when two Pokemon are close to each other and one of them last hits a piece of farm, the EXP shareholder will gain 30% of the EXP granted by that farm, and the non-holder will gain 100%, no matter who takes the last hit. So this is especially good for the early game when there are just 2 Pokemon per lane. Basically, the outcome is that no matter what, when you have an EXP share near you, a piece of farm will generate 130% of the experience it normally would. This gets a little bit more complicated as more people are in range, as you can see in the extension of this chart. So when 3 people are near each other, let's first assume that the EXP shareholder gets the last hit. The first non-EXP shareholder gets 50% of the EXP instead of the 100% like they would before. And the EXP shareholder will still get 30%, but the remaining EXP will then go to that third person who was nearby, so it still makes a total of 130% EXP generated by one piece of farm. Basically, if 2 people are nearby when EXP shareholder gets the last hit, the experience is split evenly between the 2. Now, the other scenario is that one of those players gets the last hit instead of the EXP shareholder. In that case, the EXP shareholder still gets 30%, the last hitter now gets 70%, and the non-EXP shareholder gets another 30%. We don't need to go any further with explaining how it works when 4 or 5 people are nearby. Instead, let's look at this flowchart. Basically, when a piece of farm is KO'd and an EXP shareholder is nearby, that farm will be worth 130% of the EXP that it would have if there were no EXP shareholder nearby. We'll come back to this in terms of how beneficial this actually is using more specifics. What? Do you want to be in the video? Yes, she does want to be in the video. Alright, so next Steve says, how do I use this? Stick with your laner as they farm. If they go to stack, follow them. You will come out ahead in EXP when trading farm. If your laner skips bumblebees to lane, skip them too. It feels wrong, but you will be close to parity. Please stop skipping bumblebees. I hate this clear. Stop skipping the bumblebees, please. Passive EXP. 4 per second pre 8 minutes, 6 per second post 8 minutes, and 5 per second additional if the lowest level has the EXP share. 1 minute of EXP share active is 300 experience. 1 lane bumblebee is approximately 150 experience, which changes as the game progresses, and increase farm EXP by 30%. Alright, so now this is where we get into what exactly does this mean. The game itself has built in that you get 4 experience per second before 8 minutes and 6 experience per second after 8 minutes. This is without EXP share. But if you put on EXP share, you, as the person with the EXP share on, get 5 additional experience per second if you are the lowest level on the team. So basically after 8 minutes, that's 11 EXP per second. Okay, so how much actually is this? Knowing we're getting 300 extra experience from EXP share per minute. Let's take a look at the same Excel spreadsheet that we looked at before, which of course is linked below. But this time we'll look at the very first table where we can see exactly how much EXP is worth. So here's this table. To get from level 1 to level 2, 100 experience is needed, but let's move a little bit further down the table since we basically get to level 3 for free in the early game. So instead, let's look at level 3 where we need 400 experience to get to level 4. This doesn't count the additional requirement of active experience gain for Pokemon that need to evolve, which I will revisit shortly. So knowing that to be level 4, we need to have gained 600 total experience. If we did absolutely nothing and weren't EXP share, you would get to level 4 regardless at the 8-minute mark. So that 300 EXP share experience per minute is really powerful. Alright, so that's with doing absolutely nothing. Let's also see what it does with a farming example. For this, we need a second Excel sheet. For this example, let's look at a lane Bunnelby. At 9 minutes and 40 seconds, Bunnelby gives 120 EXP. So let's say you and your lane partner with EXP share are both level 3, and you stand next to each other and take down that Bunnelby. You, as the non-EXP shareholder, will gain 120 EXP, putting you about 1/3 of the way to level 4. And your EXP share teammate will gain 30% of that Bunnelby. So 30% of 120 is 36 EXP, putting them about 1/10 of the way to level 4. Putting that on top of the 300 experience that the EXP shareholder will already get from having an active EXP share, they'll be able to reach level 4 easily. Let's really quick touch on one very key piece of having an EXP share, and that is the evolution lock while having an EXP share, and why you will still see your Clefairy at level 3, even though with this math they should have been level 4 a long time ago. For Pokemon that evolve, an active experience gain is required. So there are 5 ways to gain active experience. The first is KOing a wild Pokemon, scoring a goal, participating in an enemy KO, either getting the KO or assisting in that KO, being part of the team that KOs a global experience granting objective like the bottom Reggies, being within EXP share range of the wild Pokemon when an ally last hits it. When you haven't gained active experience in a while, EXP starts being stored. When you see the greenish yellow bar on your level wheel, that indicates stored EXP. It basically means that it's keeping track of the passive EXP you would be gaining, but it can't give it to you because you need some form of active EXP gain. When you start gaining active EXP again, the stored EXP converts into usable EXP. So let's take another example. Your Clefairy with EXP share is level 3. They have 70 EXP currently stored and 330 active EXP. So they have the EXP needed to reach level 4, because as you remember, you need 400 experience to get to level 4 from level 3. But they need an active experience gain to push them over. It's 9 minutes, so the back lane Baltoy has spawned, which will grant 70 EXP. If we remember our EXP rules, when the laner stands next to the EXP shareholder, they will get 100% of the EXP, and the EXP shareholder will get 30%. Meaning that in this case, the lane partner would get 70 EXP, and the Clefairy will only get 21. That 21 will be subtracted from the 70 they had stored, and they will still have 49 EXP stored, meaning they won't evolve. However, if the lane partner stands away from them, knowing they need more active EXP to pass the threshold, the EXP shareholder will gain the full 70 EXP from that back Baltoy, since there's no one near them, and then they will evolve. Those situations are really the only time that people need to stay away from the EXP shareholder for a second to let them evolve, otherwise you should try to be near one at all times. In some cases, this can make EXP share not feel that great. So let's go back to Steve's tweet. Why does EXP share feel bad? You get less EXP bumps per farm, and it's much harder to notice the passive EXP. You also see your EXP is lower than your laners. In reality, you are at parity with a lane without EXP share. So even though it might feel bad to not see your experience going up as fast, you're at a huge advantage for having one. Steve continues to talk about some mistakes people make when they have an EXP share. Solo farming away from the team. You lose the extra 30% on EXP share, your level becomes comparable to your team, and you lose the 5 experience per second passive. This is fine for a breakpoint like level 11, otherwise staying with the team is best. Supports and tanks farm slowly, and you'll lose more EXP overall doing this. Trying to find one person to stick to and farm is how best to use EXP share. You speed up farming and gain more EXP leads. EXP share is also an item with HP and move speed stapled to it. Those stats are amazing for supports, especially early on when you need to be slightly bulkier and potentially roaming. Am I saying you must run EXP share? Nope, just acknowledge that if played correctly, it's the best item for tank and support in solo queue. Playing it in solo queue requires concessions some players are not willing to make, and that's okay. Basically, A+ take with the math to back it up. He ends by saying that you don't have to run an EXP share and that it's different in solo queue. So let's talk about solo queue versus competitive. Competitive play has solved the EXP share. You must run 2 EXP shares, 1 per lane. Competitive play involves communications that the benefits of EXP share are fully realized, and gaining experience quickly in the early game is absolutely vital. If you sacrifice 1 EXP share, which means there will be 1 lane that has 2 non-EXP share holders, you will lose that lane. This is not true in solo queue. The game is so uncoordinated that literally anything can win lane. Even so, I've already explained how beneficial it still is to have an EXP share even if you are in a solo environment. But this is where the discourse tends to lie. Some people believe that because of how uncoordinated solo play is, the EXP share is too much of a sacrifice. Others believe the benefits of EXP share are too high to choose not to wear one. For example, David says, if people ran EXP share on supporters and defenders, their win rate would go up 5%, but they think they're giving up something like taking some kind of sacrifice. You're literally not. You're giving up when you drop EXP share. For anything else, it's the best item in the game. They also made this similar tweet, which says, Society of Solo Queue Defenders took EXP share. On the contrary, Meowry says, Unite Defender and support mains aren't playing with EXP share for their sanity and because so many randoms don't take advantage of it. In a similar vein, Fossil says, if you're in a trio queue and you go all attackers or all rounders, and my solo queuing ass plays an EXP share defender support for you, you completely revoke your right to complain about your randoms. Third of 12 says, when do people actually try to learn how EXP share works? Dude, we practically sacrifice an item slot for you. Basically, the idea behind not wearing an EXP share because the player base is so bad that they don't even get the benefits out of it in a solo queue environment. Most often, this is being discussed in the context of defenders and supports because these are the classes that are built to be good without having to gain a lot of experience. They're also built to be supporting the team, so it makes sense that an EXP share is natural on these Pokemon. This is highlighted in some other examples of this discourse. While Avery says no EXP share Umbreon is actually troll, I haven't seen a single current instance where scale Umbreon works. Paladin also says, someone help me understand why people run EXP share Focus Band and Resonant Guard on Umbreon. I played it once and I felt actually useless mid and late game because I couldn't use my ult to keep someone important alive. So even though they're talking about the same Pokemon, they've both come to different conclusions about how much success it could bring. But I think the argument overall is well rounded out by the following example from Schmeedy. But let's talk about some potential reasons why we could be coming to the conclusions we're coming to. We've done the math. It's time for psych. The first reason is a personal opinion, so not psych, but stay with me, I'm clearly an expert in the area. I feel like it's the people who are actually playing the supports and defenders who generally end up not wanting to run EXP share, and it's the people playing carries who encourage people to run it. The carry player would never run an EXP share regardless, but knowing that the item is broken, they're confused that a support or tank wouldn't want to help them. They know how to play their character, they know that they'll carry, so if someone else in the team could help them get ahead and stop selfishly taking off their EXP share, the team would have a much easier time. On the contrary, supports and defenders are the players who have played over and over again with selfish carry players who don't even have any idea how the item works and how it's actually supposed to help them. So why would they put it on when they're going to get in a game and it's going to be wasted on these people? I'd have to do some intense analysis on this to prove this opinion that I have, but that's just my vibe. Source? No, I just go off vibes. I've talked about this in another video, but one paper I've researched before actually said that MOBA players in general tend to lean toward authoritative leadership styles. Even supports and tank players who start out with a more democratic leadership style tend to get more authoritarian the more they play their chosen MOBA. Basically, we all feel like we're making the best decisions. Let's talk about game theory. One of the games often discussed in game theory is the trust game. The trust game is played as follows. There are two players, one of them acts as the trustee, and one acts as the investor. The investor decides how much arbitrary money to invest with the trustee. When they decide, that money is multiplied by some arbitrary factor, and the trustee has to decide whether or not they would honor the original agreement and return the money they earned. Game theory predicts that a rational trustee with selfish intent will always keep the money without returning anything, since there are no repercussions to keeping everything. So assuming the trustee won't give anything back, the investor shouldn't give anything in the first place. Despite this, most research has actually concluded that the investor will usually still give money to the trustee, and the trustee will usually honor the trust placed in them and give the money back. Some neuroscience was done on people playing this game, and they showed that the part of the brain that controls how we respond to reward was activated when the trustee was deciding how to respond to the investor. So we're thinking about what we would be getting out of the interaction. As the game is played more and more times, that part of our brain decides to react earlier and earlier, even before the investor makes their decision, because we learn about the patterns of other people's thinking. Now, if we know more information about the investor before they make their first decision, we actually rely less on the reward part of the brain and more on the prior information that we were given. So we're not considering the reward as much as we're trying to infer what that person might do. Now, you may assume that this reward I'm referring to is the money you'd potentially get from the outcome of the trust game, but actually, that's not always the case. In fact, humans love social cooperation. Our brain gets so excited when someone trusts us that we'll honor that trust just because the reward of working together with someone is that great. Let's bring this back now to Unite and running the EXP share, because clearly we got a little bit off track. The EXP shareholder is the investor, and the carry player is the trustee. Instead of money, we're investing EXP into the carry, hoping they return wins to us. When we look at this in terms of competitive play, the thought to run EXP share isn't even there. The trustee already knows so much about the investor that they can easily predict their decision, and they know to reward them for trusting them every single time. This doesn't happen in solo queue, where the investor has been screwed over so much that they no longer trust the trustee in the first place. Neither the social nor the monetary rewards are there anymore, so the investor feels like they would be getting nothing out of it if they do run EXP share. And it's possible that the solo queuers who do continue to run EXP share, despite getting screwed over by the trustee over and over and over again, are more dependent on the social reward for when it does actually work out, so they keep chasing the feeling of that reward. Basically, we all selfishly want to feel rewarded by our decisions. I hope you enjoyed this summary of EXP share and the discourse surrounding it. What do you like to do? Do you like playing EXP share? Do you play it in solo? Why or why not? If I told you right now that I made all of this up, would you be mad? I didn't make all of this up, but what if I did? Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you for being here, and I will see you all next time. Bye!